The aliens almost turned around. That's the part history nearly lost. Their ship drifted at the edge of our system, passive scans sweeping across the planets, categorizing us the way you'd label insects in a jar. Unremarkable star. Rocky inner worlds. Primitive radio leakage. Pre-spacefaring civilization. They marked us as harmless. And that mistake saved us 10 seconds. Because the moment they plotted a course toward Earth, our defense grid locked on. They never saw it. Not on thermal. Not on gravitic. Not even on subspace distortion mapping. 1 second they were alone. The next? Every warning light on their bridge exploded red. A pulse of white energy ripped across their hull, not to destroy, just to stop. Their ship shuddered mid-vector, hyperdrive coils collapsing into forced shutdown. Internal gravity hiccup. Crew slammed into restraints. Silence followed. Not the silence of space. The silence of realizing you are not the apex predator in the room. On the alien bridge, their captain stared at the blue planet rotating peacefully below. How? He whispered. Their scanners screamed contradiction. Civilization level. Early digital age. Weapon signature. Beyond known galactic military classifications. Power source. Unknown. Origin point. Earth's orbital shadow. Another ship slid into view. Not large. Not ornate. Blocky hull. Functional design. No glowing intimidation displays. But space itself seemed to bend subtly around it, like reality made room. Inside that vessel, Admiral Aidan Murphy didn't look impressed. She looked tired. Contact established, her comm officer said. Alien vessel immobilized. No return fire. Murphy studied the holographic projection of the alien ship. Organic curves. Elegant construction. Long-range exploration class. Not an invasion fleet. A scout. That complicated things. Open channel, she said. Across the void, the alien bridge filled with a voice that carried zero panic. Zero hostility. Just authority carved from experience. Unidentified craft. You have entered restricted Sol territory. Your propulsion systems have been safely disabled. Do not attempt to restart them. The alien captain swallowed, crest flattening. We meant no aggression. Our charts showed this system as undeveloped. Murphy's expression didn't change. That chart, she said calmly, is about 9,000 years out of date. Confusion rippled through the alien crew. 9,000? Impossible. Their civilization had mapped this spiral arm for only 4 millennia. You achieved this level of defense in that time? The captain asked. Murphy leaned back slightly. Here it was. The moment that always broke them. We didn't achieve it, she said. We remembered it. A pause. Long enough for dread to bloom. On the alien bridge, star maps updated automatically, pulling from intercepted human data bursts. And for the first time they saw it. Not just Earth. Artifacts. Buried megastructures on the moon. Ancient orbital platforms hidden inside asteroid clusters. Energy signatures older than their species. Human technology layered. Some new. Some impossibly ancient. The alien captain's voice trembled. You're not a young species. Murphy's eyes hardened. No, she said quietly. We're what's left. Alarms suddenly flared on the human ship. A second alien signature had appeared at the system edge. Much larger. Not a scout. A fleet. And it was not slowing down. Murphy's jaw tightened. So, she murmured. They came looking for children. Her gaze locked on the tactical display. Let's show them the elders. The second contact wasn't subtle. It didn't slip into the system. It tore in. Space itself rippled as multiple warp apertures punched open near the Kuiper boundary, gravitational shockwaves racing inward like the wake of something massive and confident. On Murphy's tactical display, red markers multiplied. 5, 12, 31. Formation tight. Power signatures high. Shield harmonics tuned for combat, not diplomacy. This wasn't a rescue mission. It was a correction. On the immobilized scout ship, the alien captain went pale. Well, the biological equivalent. That is the Kethri Vanguard, he breathed. They must have tracked our jump signature. They'll assume we've been captured. Murphy didn't look away from the display. Have you been? The captain hesitated. No. Good, Murphy said. Because if they fire first, this becomes a different lesson. Micropause. Her operations officer spoke softly. Ma'am, the outer relic network is waking up. Across the system, things older than recorded human history stirred. Cold stations hidden in cometary shells began rotating, ancient armor plates shedding micrometeor dust. Structures long mistaken for inert rock unfolded with mechanical grace. The alien captain watched in disbelief as new icons populated the star map. They weren't human designs. They were older. Latticed megastructures, ringed arrays, gravitational lensing platforms parked in impossible orbit. You didn't build those, he whispered. Murphy's voice stayed level. No. Another beat. We inherited them. The incoming fleet accelerated. A broad beam transmission cut through all channels, carrier wave strong enough to rattle sensor board. Unknown power in Sol system, the voice boomed, translated with sharp-edged precision. Release our survey vessel. Power down all weapons. Submit to inspection. Murphy exhaled through her nose. Classic Kethri posture, her intel officer muttered. Shock and dominate doctrine. Yeah, Murphy said. We wrote the first draft of that playbook. The alien captain turned slowly. You fought them before? Murphy didn't answer. Because something else just happened. One of the ancient platforms near Saturn pulsed. Not visibly, but space-bent. A narrow corridor, an invisible tunnel through gravitational curvature, formed between the platform and the approaching fleet. Targeting solution? Murphy asked. Non-lethal interdiction possible, Tactical replied. We can fold their forward ships out of formation without hull breach. The alien captain stared. You can move them? We can remind them where they're standing, Murphy said. She keyed her mic. Kethri Vanguard, she said evenly, you are approaching a protected cradle system. Reduce velocity and hold position. A laugh came back over the channel. You overestimate your relevance, primitive species. Murphy's eyes flicked to Tactical. Execute. Space snap. Not exploded. Not burned. Snapped like a taut string cut. The lead Kethri cruiser vanished from formation and reappeared 3,000 kilometers starboard, tumbling, weapons offline, crew screaming over open channels. No debris. No damage. Just absolute control. Silence followed. Then a new signal lit up. From deep within the Oort cloud. Something enormous was coming online. Power output dwarfing anything yet revealed. Even Murphy went still. Ma'am, Ops whispered. That one wasn't in our database. The alien captain's voice was barely sound. You forgot one? Murphy stared at the rising energy curve. No, she said quietly. That's not ours. The energy signature didn't behave like technology. That was the first problem. It didn't spike in clean curves. Didn't stabilize into weapon patterns. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Massive. Slow. Ancient. Every sensor in the Sol defense grid tried to label it. Fail. Retry. Fail harder. Murphy felt something she hadn't in years. Uncertainty. Source triangulation? She asked. Deep Oort cloud, Ops replied. Object mass comparable to a small moon. No propulsion plume. It's just waking up. The alien captain stared at the data stream bleeding across Murphy's tactical display. That energy profile predates stellar civilization. That's pre-galactic engineering. Murphy's jaw tightened. Yeah. We were hoping it would stay asleep. The Kethri fleet had stopped advancing. Even they weren't arrogant enough to ignore a cosmic anomaly lighting up like a god clearing its throat. A new signal rolled across the system. Not a transmission. A resonance. Every metal surface hummed. Every magnetic field trembled. Even human implants picked up low-frequency interference. Then came a voice. Not in sound. In translation layers. A meaning forced into comprehension. Custodian species detected. The alien captain went rigid. Custodian? That's a myth-class term. The builders. The first architects. Murphy cut him off softly. We know. Another pulse. System integrity compromised. Younger war species present. Kethri ships began broadcasting frantic encrypted traffic. Murphy keyed a system-wide channel. All Sol defense units hold fire. Do not engage the entity. Her bridge crew exchanged looks. Ma'am, Tactical whispered, if that thing targets Earth. It won't, Murphy said. Not hope. Memory. The alien captain turned slowly. You've met it before. Murphy's eyes reflected the rising glow far beyond Pluto. When we were still throwing rocks at each other, she said. When our atmosphere was poison and our oceans boiled. She swallowed. It watched. On the main display, the object became visible. Not a ship. A structure. A lattice sphere kilometers wide, folded in on itself like a machine built in higher dimensions, surfaces etched with moving light that looked like equations written in stars. The resonance shifted. Focus. Terran line recognized. Murphy stood. Every alien on her bridge feed felt the shift in gravity. Not physical. Historical. Memory bearer confirmed. Directive request. The Kethri commander broke into the channel, voice tight. Unknown entity, we are conducting lawful expansion. The resonance cut through him like he wasn't there. Younger war species exhibit destabilizing pattern. Murphy took a breath. This was the part humanity never told anyone. Because it sounded insane. Because it was. We request advisory status, she said carefully. Not intervention. A pause long enough to break empires. Then. Advisory accepted. Custodian offspring retains autonomy. The alien captain whispered, offspring. Murphy didn't blink. We weren't the first, she said. We were the ones they didn't wipe out. The entity pulsed again. Historical cycle approaching repetition threshold. Murphy's stomach dropped. Because that phrase was buried in the oldest recovered human archive. The one that ended civilizations. Ma'am, Op said slowly. It's opening star maps. Across the hologram. Ancient ruins. Dead systems. Civilizations that had once filled the galaxy. Gone. And the pattern that ended them was forming again. The star map didn't show borders. It showed graves. One by one, systems lit up in cold blue markers. Not active civilizations, but extinction events. Each point came with data strings older than most species' mythologies. Population peaks. Technological bloom. Interstellar expansion. Then. Abrupt silence. The alien captain felt his limbs weaken. These match the lost spiral records, but we thought those were natural cataclysms. Murphy's voice was low. They weren't. The ancient entity pulsed again, its meaning threading through every translation matrix in the system. Pattern. Emerging civilizations reach conflict saturation. Self-amplifying warfare probability exceeds survival threshold. Images filled the projection. Different species. Different eras. Same ending. Arms races spiraling. Preemptive strikes justified. Defensive networks becoming offensive doctrines. Fear feeding fear. Then the final stage. A species deploying system-level weapons. Chain reactions. Cascading annihilation across stellar neighborhood. The entity labeled it with one word. Reset. The Kethri commander's voice shook. You're saying something ended them? Correction, the entity replied. They ended themselves. Intervention protocol enacted to prevent cross-system collapse. Murphy closed her eyes briefly. When we found the first ruins, she said quietly, we thought they were warnings. She looked at the map again. They were records. The alien captain turned toward her. And Earth. Murphy met his gaze. We were early. Too divided to expand fast. Too busy surviving our own mess. A humorless smile ghosted her face. We were beneath the threshold. The Kethri fleet hung motionless now, aggression gone, replaced by existential dread. The entity pulsed again. Current galactic trajectory approaching repetition. New overlays appeared. Recent wars, border conflicts, weaponization curves, and one alarming trend line climbing fastest of all. Kethri expansion doctrine. The Kethri commander barked, "This is manipulation. An ancient machine dictating galactic destiny." Murphy cut in sharply. "No. It's showing math." A hard truth settled over everyone. The galaxy wasn't dying from one monster. It was dying from everyone acting like one. The entity shifted focus to Murphy. Terran offspring previously demonstrated divergence from terminal path. The alien captain blinked. Divergence. Murphy's jaw tightened. "They're talking about the Dark Century," she said. "Humanity's near-extinction era. Nuclear brinkmanship. Climate collapse. Resource wars. The moment when humans came closest to becoming another blue dot on this map." "But we didn't end," Murphy said. "We changed." The entity pulsed once, brighter. Advisory. Present war species at critical inflection. Custodian offspring holds influence vector. Every eye turned to Murphy. The implication hit like a weapon. Humanity wasn't just being protected. They were being consulted. The Kethri commander whispered, "What happens if the pattern continues?" For the first time, Murphy hesitated. Because she knew the answer. She'd read the buried archive. The one humanity never shared. The entity's light intensified. If divergence fails, reset protocol expands. The star map zoomed out. Beyond sectors. Beyond spiral arms. The reset wasn't local. It was galactic. The map kept zooming out. Stars blurred into clusters. Clusters into glowing rivers of light. Whole galactic arms became threads in something vast and disturbingly organized. And the blue extinction markers. They weren't random. They formed waves. Ripples moving outward over millions of years. Like a forest fire that kept reigniting. The alien captain's voice was hollow. This has happened more than once." Murphy nodded slowly. "Civilizations rise. They industrialize conflict. They reach for control faster than cooperation." She swallowed. "And when enough of them light the match at the same time, the galaxy burns." The Kethri commander tried to regain footing. "So this machine decides who lives?" "Incorrect," the entity replied. "Species self-select termination through escalation behavior. A beat. Intervention prevents cascade beyond recovery threshold." Murphy translated under her breath. "It stops the fire from spreading." Ops turned to her. "Ma'am, Earth was never on this map." "Not as a loss," Murphy said. Another layer appeared. One faint, almost erased branch in the pattern. A single divergence point. Labeled in ancient code that human archives had only partially deciphered. Sole event aborted. The alien captain stared. Aborted, meaning Earth was scheduled? Murphy didn't answer immediately. Because the memory still hurt. "We came close," she said quietly. "Closer than anyone knows." Flash images from the entity filled the display. Human warheads. Orbital debris storms. Early AI conflict systems spiraling beyond control. Then, unexpected data. Human ceasefires. Global treaties. Cooperation spikes following disaster. Shared tech, not weaponized, distributed. The line veered away from extinction. Barely. The entity pulsed, almost, approving. Terran offspring exhibited adaptive restraint. The Kethri commander scoffed weakly. "Luck." Murphy shook her head. "No. Choice." Silence followed. Heavy. Thinking silence. Because now the implication wasn't abstract. Every species on that map stood at a fork. Escalate. Or break the pattern. The entity's focus returned to the Kethri fleet. Expansion doctrine indicates high cascade probability. The Kethri commander's posture sagged. For the first time, he looked small. You're asking us to limit ourselves. Murphy met his gaze. I'm asking you to survive. A new alert chimed on the human bridge. Multiple other civilizations were detecting the entity's broadcast. Signals from neighboring sectors began flooding in, confused, fearful, demanding answers. The galaxy was waking up to the truth, and truths like this didn't stay controlled. The alien captain whispered, "If everyone learns about this, panic alone could trigger the pattern." Murphy nodded grimly. "Which means," she said, "we don't just have to stop a war." She looked at the ancient construct glowing beyond Pluto. "We have to change how a galaxy thinks." Ops blinked. "Ma'am, that's impossible." Murphy's eyes stayed on the map of the dead. So was surviving our own. The entity pulsed again. Divergence window limited. A timer appeared. Not seconds, generations, but it was counting down. The timer didn't tick like a clock. It faded. A slow drain of probability. As if the future itself had a battery, and it was running low. Every major comm network in range had picked up the entity's broadcast by now. Dozens of species, hundreds of governments, military channels lighting up with the same question. Is this real? Murphy didn't have time for philosophy. "Open a multi-species channel," she ordered. "No encryption. No filters." Her comm officer hesitated. "Ma'am, that means everyone hears everything." "Exactly." The feed exploded into existence. Alien faces, holographic avatars, translation artifacts flickering as dozens of languages overlapped in chaos. "You're showing us an extinction engine," one delegate shouted. "This is Terran psychological warfare," another accused. The Kethri commander remained silent, because his fleet had seen the map. Murphy stepped into frame. "We don't control it," she said plainly. "We didn't build it. And we can't stop it if the pattern continues." The noise didn't stop. So she did the one thing humans were historically good at. She told the ugly part. "We almost made the map," she said. "That cut through. Resource wars. Proxy conflicts. Autonomous weapons spiraling beyond command. We called it progress while we armed our own extinction." Faces stilled. "We survived," she continued, "because we hit bottom hard enough to finally cooperate out of fear of ourselves." A hard breath. Not morality. Not enlightenment. Survival. The entity pulsed softly beside her. "Validation." An avian diplomat asked quietly, "What are you proposing?" Murphy didn't hesitate. A galactic de-escalation compact. Immediate freeze on system-level weapons. Shared oversight. Conflict arbitration networks that trigger automatically before military mobilization. Outrage sparked. "You want us to surrender sovereignty?" Murphy's eyes flashed. "No. I want you to keep existing." The alien captain from the scout ship added, voice steadier now, "Their claim is supported by the Custodian entity's data. We have verified segments." That shifted the room. The Kethri commander finally spoke. "If we agree, we lose dominance." Murphy nodded once. "Yes." Silence. Because that was the real cost. The entity's timer dimmed another fraction. A deep space relay pinged. Another species had just joined the channel. Then another. The conversation stopped being about power. It became about fear. Shared fear. The same thing that had saved humanity. Ops leaned toward Murphy. "Ma'am, consensus probability is rising." "How much?" "Not enough." Murphy looked at the glowing ancient structure. "We don't need enough," she murmured. "We need momentum." The entity pulsed, its voice echoing across the network. "Collective divergence possible. Outcome uncertain." Murphy allowed herself a thin smile. "Uncertain," she said, "is better than inevitable." But deep inside Soul's outer dark, something else shifted. Another signal. Another ancient signature. Different. Colder. And it was not broadcasting. Murphy felt it before the sensors confirmed it. That old instinct. The one that said the problem just got bigger. "New contact," Ops said quietly. Deep interstellar. Vector unknown. Signature matches Custodian architecture. The alien captain's breath caught. Another one? The first entity pulsed, its glow shifting from steady to alert. Counter-Custodian presence detected. The multi-species channel fell into stunned silence. Murphy's voice was low. Define counter. A pause. Divergence enforcement model. Prioritizes early termination over advisory delay. The words landed like a guillotine. The galaxy had more than one gardener, and not all of them were patient. The second presence didn't glow. It absorbed. Light bent inward around an invisible mass moving between stars, its path leaving gravitational scars. The map updated. Projected trajectory lines. Not toward Sol. Across civilization clusters currently in active conflict zones. The places already closest to tipping. The avian diplomat whispered, "It's going to trigger the reset early." Murphy's mind raced. "You said we have autonomy," she told the first Custodian. "Correct. Then give us authority to intervene beyond our territory." Another pause that felt like history holding its breath. Conditional extension granted. Terran offspring recognized as stabilizing agent. Murphy exhaled sharply. "You just made us firefighters in a galactic wildfire." Ops looked up. "Ma'am, that's every direction." "Yeah," Murphy said. "Welcome to elderhood." The Kethri commander stared at her. "You would defend even us?" Murphy didn't smile. "You're on the same map." Orders began flowing. Human fleets, long hidden, long restrained, activated across the spiral arm. Not to conquer. To interpose. To cool flashpoints. To block the kind of escalation that turned arguments into extinction curve. On the Galactic channel, species that had been enemies hours ago began sharing sensor data. Coordination. Because now the threat wasn't each other. It was the pattern. The second Custodian's path flickered as projections shifted. Conflict zones stabilizing. Weapon deployments paused. Probability of cascade dropping. Not safe. But bending. The first entity pulsed, almost like relief. Divergence event in progress. Murphy finally allowed herself to sit. Tired. Human. "Guess we weren't the elders because we were first," she murmured. The alien captain watched human ships fanning out across the stars. "You're elders," he said softly, "because you learned the hard way and chose to teach instead of rule." Murphy didn't answer. She just looked at the timer. Still draining. But slower now. For the first time in cosmic history, the pattern wasn't repeating. It was being rewritten. And at the center of it, a species that was never supposed to make it past its own self-destruction, was holding the line for everyone else.